This is the last kind of factorization we're seeing, okay? We've done a lot of expansion, factorize in the reverse order, so on and so forth. So, just to confirm, usually when I say I want to expand something, which mathematical operation are we talking about? Expand is to do what? Is it plus, minus, times, divide? Which one? Plus?
Multiply.
Is to multiply, right? Okay. So when we do factorization, usually it's the opposite direction, which is which operation? It's sort of division, right? Factors is like something like dividing. Okay. So now the last one we're going to do is actually called factorization by grouping, which we already touched upon a bit during the first part of this year. In fact, some of you already know a bit of it. So there's two kinds in general. The simple kind is just taking out common factor that we just talked about. The other one is grouping like terms, okay, which might not be so obvious at first. So let's do the simple one first, taking out common factor. So the basic rule, taking out common factor, you must take out as much as possible and still leave behind your integer values. Okay, so in terms of the 2 and 10, obviously I can take out so-called divide 2 from both, right? How about in terms of letters? What is the maximum I can take from both? I can take D. I can also take C, right? So be very careful. You take actually the minimum of both of them. Or I can only take C and D in common from both. And what will that result in that's left behind? C from the first term, and don't forget the 5. Anything else? No. So this technically is the final answer, but I would like to impress a habit upon everyone. Like I said, we have done factorizing. You can always try to expand and see if you can get back the term on top to know whether you're right. You don't even need my red pen on you to go and check whether it's right. So if you see it, you can just eyeball a bit. If they multiply back to the top thing is correct, then you're fine. Okay, next. Faster now. I see a 2 and I also see a K. So what's left behind is K plus 2. Double check in case if you want to know whether you're right, okay? Let's make that a habit, okay? We'll always check. You need not put these rainbow lines. I'm just telling you that you can always check. Next. What's the common largest number there? 4 and also A. So what's left behind first one is 4A minus 1. Okay? Also take into consideration your positive and negative signs. Next one. Clearly A and B is the what? Is the max. And what's left? A, C. What else? Is it plus 1? It is minus 1. So if you're not sure, like I say again, you just multiply and see if I'll get the term back on top. And we see that, yes, that's what I'll get. So this is correct for sure. Okay, so this one should be all simple stuff so far. You okay? Okay, next. Do this on your own very quickly now. What's the max I can take out for E and F? Alamak, I forgot to record. Okay, yeah, so these are the two answers here. Now, grouping. We've seen this before. But the main thing is, you must be able to spot the terms now. I'm going to highlight in red here. Can you see? Is it red? Yeah, it is. Can you see that's in common, but these things are now in the bracket, so to speak. So it's literally asking you, I have 9x of a group in red plus 3 of that group. So how many of that group do I have?
1.
If I ask you, I want apple plus 2 apple, you got 3 apple, right? So if I write the group behind, then I ask you, how many of this group do I have?
9x plus 3.
It's 9x plus 3. Okay, with that understanding, and then these things are very straightforward. Okay? Next. Similar groups, that's why this is called factorization by grouping. We see a common group. So I know I have something in front, I'll just write the group that's in common between them behind, and let me just prepare the bracket. So how many of that group do I have? 5m minus 10n. Okay? Any questions on how we do this kind of grouping? Next. Why this one got star? Can someone tell me why? What's the difference? Yes, they are like the slight opposite of each other. Slightly only. So what is the minor tweak I can do? A plus B? So what is the difference here? You see A minus B, first one. Second one is B minus A. What is the difference actually?
The plus.
Yes. What if I show you now on what you see on the screen? I take out a factor. How do I make them exactly the same? Think very carefully. Sorry, what am I doing? B minus A. Let's consider a different sign, such as minus 1. What happens when I take minus 1 times A, everyone?
Minus A.
I get minus A there. What happens when I take minus 1 times minus B? So the difference here is this negative 1. Just a negative 1. And that is something that you can factorize out as well. So let's take a look. I'm going to flip it by taking out a negative 1 as well. So what I'm going to do is x, A minus B, I leave it alone. I'm going to factorize out minus 1 first. What happens when I have a minus 1 out and I park it next to the plus 3?
Minus 3.
They get multiplied to each other, right? To give you?
Minus 3.
Negative 3. And what happens to the term behind? It becomes A minus B. So this is the star part lah. You got to know that actually they just have a difference of a negative sign. And I'm sort of factorizing out negative sign first, so that they look exactly the same. Okay, that's the point. So once they are exactly the same, we are applying the same principle. Oh, I have a group of A minus B. So in total, I have x minus 3 of that group. Okay, so we just did one tweak to create the same situation. Questions so far? Now, back to now for the more common exam questions, right, so to speak. You will see just 4 terms like this. But actually, if I slice them in half, they come in pairs. So for each one, I will do a simple factorization for each pair. So the first pair, what's the max I can take out, guys? 3 and A, right? And what's left behind? 4B minus D. Okay? So now comes the interesting part. What's the maximum I can take out for both of them here? Let's try. Don't write it out yet. You listen to the explanation. So some of you say I can take out 2C, right?
Yeah.
So what's left behind? Minus 4B. What else? Plus D. This one is still plus, right?
Yeah.
Is it exactly the same, these two groups yet? Not yet. So for now, we can do this and then we do the same as the previous question. Let us now take out negative 1. So what do I get? 4B minus D. And I get a minus 2C here, and so that I can flip this guy around. Do you see what I'm trying to do here?
Yes.
So some of you could have spotted that, okay, I see 2C first. Then I realize, but they are not exactly the same yet. So it's a similar situation as above there. So I can now take out negative 1 from both, and then now they are exactly the same. So then I can do my grouping factorization. For the faster ones, some of you might consider, can I just take out negative 2C straight away? The answer is yes, okay? You can actually skip from this step to this step straight away if you can see it. If not, you can do the 2 steps that we just see now here. But the guiding principle is I want to see 2 exact same groups behind there after you factorize, okay? Before you do grouping. Questions? Okay, let's take a look at the next one, then we can see if we can apply it very quickly. First one, what's the max I can take out? Aaron? 5 and that's all? M. So what's left behind, Aaron? X. What else? 2, okay, good. 2 times 5 is 10, huh? Okay. Now, let me teach you a cheat down here, everyone. You know, by grouping, I see 4 terms. I'm going to do pair by pair, right? And I know I want to get the same group, right? So I know I definitely want to get x minus 2 out here. Agree or not? So now you just think carefully. What am I going to take out so that I'll have x minus 2 left behind? You look carefully, Some of you say minus 3. Do you agree or not?
Yes.
Minus 3, minus 3. Let me just tell you again, why do I straight away write x minus 2 here? Because I know I want to eventually have the same group. So now I reverse engineer a bit. So I look at this term. What must I take out so that it will become minus 2 here?
Negative.
It is negative 3. Okay, some of you can see already. That's great. Okay, so immediately I already skip step. I come to the point where I have the same group here. So therefore, the final factorization is 5m minus 3 x minus 2. Done. Okay, I tell you what, I will now stop talking. The rest are your practice questions until the end of the period, and that will also be your homework for tomorrow. So the faster you can complete those questions there, the better. All the way until K.
K.
Alright, so please go ahead right now.
2A and 2B.
Huh?
2A and 2B.
What 2A to B? I thought we just did it.
It's A and then
A, A, B, B.
the questions. If you scroll up.
It's alright, you know, you've already done it already. Yeah, basically the whole set. Okay, just go ahead now. I don't want to talk so much.